The true definition of a virtual reality experience is Resident Evil 4 remake on PSVR2, a remake. Now, the OG looks incredible on a Quest standalone. The new trailer that shows out today, based on the gameplay, showing that Resident Evil 4 PSVR2, the remake, is coming up on December 8th. Now, this looks insanely good. Even if it looks like 80% and 90% of what the trailer just showed us, that is what total immersion looks like. I don't know what can really top that, especially knowing how great the remake was on PlayStation. Like, even all the biggest creators were playing the Resident Evil 4 remake and talking about how great it was. The reviews are through the roof. If this can literally be an extension of what Resident Evil 4 the remake is, like, this is gonna be a wild scenario to put on a headset and to have these types of graphics flying at you. The Quest graphics with them flying at you, all the enemies and all the horrific things, was already next level. And this is the OG exact version like that we played on GameCube back then and all that. Man, this trailer is insane. The inside looks insane. The gameplay looks insane. And if it's half as like beginner friendly, the way the Quest version is, of how it teaches you and how the manual, like the loading of the guns and the looting of the items, it was very, very easy and the mechanics were real smooth. I think to this day, Resident Evil 4, the OG version that I played on Quest, has some of the smoothest mechanics that I've ever played as far as like a AAA game in VR. And probably just VR in totality, aside from like contractors, maybe the mechanics of how to reload the gun and how it like seamlessly goes back on your holster, like just all that stuff of like over your shoulder and how you heal and all that. Their mechanics are really good on that game. I can't even imagine how great this game is going to be in PSVR 2. Just because if they even make it an extension of this, it's game over. Now, the only thing that stops it is that it's a game, again, that everybody has played. That's the only limitation. Now, I did cover this whole backstory of that on my best AAA games for Quest. So make sure y'all check that video out, man. Show some love to that because it has some good traction and stuff, man. So go in there and let me know your thoughts on the AAA games. This goes back into that conversation also of AAA gaming, which is perfect. You know, PSVR 2, if anything, Sony can take tech and immerse into a higher level. I believe like Sony, Apple can really take those next level, but Meta makes those types of conjunctions like affordable. So that's why I always rock with Quest, because it's seamless, it's easy, it's simplified, and it's a standalone experience. At the end of the day, you still need a PS5 for this, so it kind of reminds you of like a different version, a variation of PCVR, except it's PSVR. Until like PSVR can probably like use that Portal type experience and VR, just make it its own standalone, that's when I know Sony's gonna go crazy with it. Kind of like how they treat their mirrorless cameras now. Their mirrorless cameras, Sony, are very like small, compact, real HD'd out, and provide some of the best. And they're very small versus like a traditional DSLR camera, because a mirrorless is a lot lighter. That's just a whole nother aspect though. Sony, again, on top of the tech. We know that this is gonna be a great game. Again, it is Resident Evil 4. So the experience for most people that already know what happens next probably won't be as quite immersive. But if you're stepping into this game completely new, like if you've never played any Resident Evil game before, or never played Resident Evil 4, at least one of the greatest Resident Evils, probably the greatest Resident Evil aside from 2, in my opinion, then it's going to be a next level experience for you. It's going to be something that, to have that in VR, if you've never played Resident Evil 4 and your first time playing it is actually in VR, it's going to be literally the best virtual reality experience ever. I think even if you know what's going on, it makes it less scary, but you could actually do more tactical stuff and actually enjoy the immersion, I guess. But if you're new, you're going to enjoy the immersion, the scary scenarios. It's just going to be such a magnitude. It'll probably be overwhelming to some people because it's going to be super scary. But it looks completely amazing, man. Those graphics are so crispy. I cannot wait. My passion about virtual reality and why we created this channel solely was the optimism of virtual reality. And that this Resident Evil trailer already shows like so much promise on what virtual reality is capable of. Again, PSVR2 is more extensions of like games that are actually on PS5, of course, because you need both. But it's still like, man, if virtual reality can get there as a standalone, this is games that will mainstream the experience just due to a name in itself. And hopefully this can help change the dynamics of persuading people, bringing other people on board, devs, and recognizing. I know Xbox has, there was rumors, but Xbox has completely denied that they're going to do any type of virtual reality. They don't want it. They don't want no part of virtual reality. At least for now, they feel like that base is not high enough. And I feel the same way. You know, there's a lot of games already that have released, like Assassin's Creed. Again, we covered these in our previous AAA games requests, but those didn't really nudge the VR world as much as we really wanted it to. Again, this is going to be cool as an extension. And that's the only reason why that's going to be the stigma for VR, at least with this experience, because again, you need a PS5. And it'll extend. We're still on standby waiting for the game that's going to take it completely mainstream, where people are like, I have to grab a virtual reality headset. Probably Grand Theft Auto can do that, but again, it's a game that we've already played. So VR has that smaller distinction of like having to bring already known games or that people already know about and then bring them to VR. What I want to know is, when will VR do it on their own and not be an extension, right? Not have to bring over a game that everybody knows. Now, it helps to bring mainstream games, but if people already beat these games, they already know about the game, it doesn't bring that surprising factor, but it does bring the known factor of which it's safe and it's like, okay, cool. Like, we already know this is going to make sales. But Resident Evil 4 doing this is like, if games could just look like this in totality in VR, that would help commercialize what we really been wanting in VR. Because VR, I feel, still utilizes AAA games as like a crutch to like be like, all right, I'm gonna try to sell some more units using this, instead of just creating their own experience. While in VR, like the VR experience of games that don't have names for themselves, aside from like Beat Saber or like Gorilla Tags or like these types of games, which have tons of players on there, it still doesn't really opt into like an experience, something like this, Resident Evil 4, the remake, being on PSVR2. So let's say if they can use every game and use this, kind of like Walking Dead, if Walking Dead can start really evolving, also start looking like this, I think that VR does have a chance. But for right now, it's still limited. But Resident Evil 4 PSVR2 gives us tons of hope of like, damn, like this is the way VR should look. When I want to put on a VR headset, I want to put in next level technology. I don't want to put in something that I feel like is still making us take a step back. Like some of the games are like barely catching up on like PS2 graphics at times, PS3 graphics. Now, let me make this clear. Graphics does not always mean the best experience, but still, it's always great to see the cinematic component, the immersion. That really levels up everything. So I am so excited for this, and I need to dive into this game, man. Y'all gotta let me know what's up, though. I appreciate y'all so much. We have been doing a pretty good, catching heavy traction on this channel recently in terms of just full VR. So I appreciate y'all. Every comment matters. We like to have conversations. What does VR need to do to continuously push that next level, man? Let me know. Peace.